Our correspondent in Brussels, Dave Keating, tells us how the EU is reacting to this move by a member state, notably about the court case at the European Court of Justice that could be groundbreaking and force Hungary to change course.
We've had statements of support for the people trying to have the Pride from EU politicians and EU political groups, but the Commission's reaction on this has been relatively muted, and that's for a very specific reason. The Commission is in the middle of a legal challenge against Hungary for the law that forms the basis of this Pride ban, and that is the 2021 so-called Child Protection Law, which Hungary adopted, saying that basically children can never see anything LGBTQ plus, that needs to be kept out of anywhere where a child could see it. So that has involved banning any books about gay people, banning television about gay people, came along with a law saying that gay people obviously cannot adopt children themselves. And the Commission actually launched an infringement procedure against Hungary shortly after it passed the law, way back in 2021. That case is still pending, partly because legal challenges like that take a long time in the EU, but also because the Commission really slow-walked that at the beginning. They were trying to convince Hungary to change that law for a long time before they actually went ahead and took it to the court. So now that ruling is actually expected in June, the initial ruling in that case. And in November, we had a hearing for that case, which was very unprecedented because it had 16 EU countries siding with the Commission and testifying there, 14 of them, at the hearing against Hungary, saying why this is an EU issue, basically why the EU should be able to stop Hungary from doing this. And the Commission's challenge relies on two things. One is kind of an economic argument, so they're using the Media Services Directive and the e-commerce directive to say that Hungary banning books and TV shows that depict gay people, which are allowed in other parts of the single market, basically violates the principles of the EU single market, where things should be able to flow freely. But the other one is more serious. Then they're also accusing Hungary of violating Article 2 of the EU treaties, basically the EU's constitution, which outline respect for human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. Now, that is hardly ever used in legal proceedings in the EU, and that's what makes this a very, very big test case. And that's why this is being so closely watched. So this doesn't really help the people trying to organize a Pride in Budapest this year. However, if the European Court of Justice, the EU Supreme Court, rules in favor of the Commission in June, it is likely that Hungary would have to scrap this law and also have to scrap its Pride ban, and so therefore there could be a Pride in 2026. In the meantime, the Commission has to be careful what it says here because it could jeopardize this ongoing legal procedure against Hungary.
Okay, interesting to see how that court case plays out and the consequences of its findings, Dave. But this isn't the only issue where Hungary has come up against Brussels.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, Hungary is certainly the difficult child among the 27 EU member states, and there has been increasing chatter that the EU should use Article 7 of the EU's treaties/constitution in order to punish Hungary by depriving it of its voting rights because Hungary has not been supporting Ukraine, because Hungary has been representing the pro-Russian voice within the European Council. Interestingly, if they do find Hungary having violated Article 2 in this ruling in June, many legal observers are saying that could be used as a basis to then use Article 7 against Hungary for its wider violations of the rule of law and human rights if they choose to do so. So when this judge rules in June, it's going to be really important how they rule, because if they just agree with the Commission on this narrow issue of the single market, the Media Services Directive, that's still going to give Hungary some wiggle room to maintain this law, and it doesn't really give the other member states an instance there to be able to use Article 7 simply based on the principles of the single market. However, if the court rules in favor of the Commission also or exclusively on the issue of Article 2, it's hard to see how Hungary's child protection law could survive that ruling. And and then that could serve as a basis for starting Article 7 procedures. I will say the European Court of Justice has always been very, very wary to get into any of these issues. It is an extremely sensitive issue in the EU. We can see that by which member states were supporting the Commission in November. Out of those 16 member states, they were all from Western Europe except Estonia. This is an issue that divides East and West in the EU, and so this is something that the court has never liked to wade into, whether it comes to gay marriage or any kinds of these types of issues. The ECJ has stayed away from it. So if they did rule in the Commission's favor in June, it would be a legal earthquake here in the EU.